Hello, and welcome to the PaulCast Comedy Podcast for July 25th, 2024. This is episode 239 of the PaulCast Comedy Podcast. I'll tell you what, everybody. I typically try to be a very positive person and optimistic. This week has not been great in that regard for yours truly. I'll tell you, the high-low propositions of being a dreamer. And you want to know what? I just realized that even me saying that isn't really fair to dreamers across the board because I'm not authorized to speak on their behalf. I am not the official spokesman of all dreamers everywhere. I am only authorized to speak on behalf of myself. Nobody else has told me to go speak for them. So I will say for myself, it does seem to be a lot of ups and downs, both emotionally, both result-wise, experiences. It's just really fascinating, and I was feeling so good about myself, even just a couple weeks ago. I thought I was just crushing it. I was loving my material. And then just something about this week, it's been just constant negative feedback. And from some sources, whose opinion is tremendously important and influential, and then some people whose opinions shouldn't matter to me one bit. But as we all know, human beings are, there I go, speaking on behalf of human beings. I'll speak on behalf of myself. My understanding is that I, myself, am far more prone to embrace negative feedback more fully and easily than positive feedback. And I've read something along those lines. And it also just totally makes sure. I mean, like 10 people can say, you're the coolest person ever. But then if one person's like, you suck, the person who says you suck, will maybe have a far greater impact than the 10 positive comments. And so if you follow the podcast, a couple days ago, I sent in a clip of my stand-up to a casting director for America's Got Talent because I thought it was a really strong clip. She emailed back pretty much, I think, just 5 criticisms and nothing positive or nothing encouraging. There was no, hey, thanks for sending this to me. No, hey, I thought this was funny. Work on this. Or, hey, this was really great, but if you make these tweaks, there was just literally just 5 criticisms of the bit, which I just went, oh, okay. And by the way, this casting director is also a friend of mine. So it's not like she was speaking to me as somebody who needs to be like dealt with. Like I could call her up and have a conversation with her tomorrow. She came into town about 7 or 8 months ago. I saw she was in town for a comedy festival, and I texted her, and we went to breakfast. So that was not great, and the problem, and the other thing is the feedback didn't really seem constructive to me. I don't know. It just was more like, this is wrong. Not necessarily like, this is how to fix it. It's just, these things are wrong. But then when I try to picture like, well, how do I fix that? Or should I fix that? It just didn't really seem like it was something that I could just change. So that's been messing with my head. And then last night I had an opportunity to hang out with my family, and my sister was in town, and I rarely get to see my sister. I'm trying to think of the last time I even did actually see her in person. I mean, it's been years. So we had a big family to do at my place, and I had mentioned to some of my family that, oh yeah, I got this feedback from this casting director, and I just said some of the feedback, and they all agreed with her immediately. They were like, yeah. So I went, oh, okay. So my family also agrees that bit is not good. Or that I'm doing comedy wrong. And although a lot of them were at a comedy show recently, I did a comedy show for my birthday, and a lot of them were there, and I was absolutely killing the room. At least when I heard an entire room laughing their arses off, I thought that was an indication that I was being funny, but I guess not, or not funny in the right enough way. So that didn't feel good. And then I've had an internet troller. I had a clip of mine posted on YouTube, and just had one dude, totally unrelated to the bit that I'm talking about, just write, unfunny. So now, when I said there's some feedback from people I really care about and who I listen to, and then feedback from people who I don't care about and shouldn't listen to but still do, that would be the internet troller, because I know it doesn't matter, they're this, that, it still is there, and it still is really upsetting, because it's also like anonymous, and it's so cowardly to just hide behind an anonymous YouTube channel with zero repercussions and then just troll people. It's just so shocking to me. So this guy writes, unfunny, and it happened to be a clip from the show I did 2 months ago where I had about 400 people in a sold-out audience and also completely slayed. And I'm just going, it's just baffling to me, like, who is this guy and who the hell do they think they are? Just be like, unfunny. And I replied to him something like, well, you're going to have to tell the 400 people at that sold-out show that they were wrong, or something like that. And then he just writes this tirade. Unsuccessful comedian gets mad at YouTube, commenter. If you were really failed comedian, that's what he called me. Failed comedian gets mad, and if you were really a successful comedian, I mean, look at Joe Rogan, and you would be able to. I'm just going, wow. So, yeah, that it's just really discouraging, and I get that. I get that's part of this whole thing, is that, at least for me, again, not speaking for anybody else, is there are these experiences that make it seem like, oh, I'm improving and I'm doing incredibly well, and this material is killing, and from everything that I could gather, it was absolutely killing. But then to have, somebody look at a tape of it and just go like, nah, you're yelling too much. And then to have family members who were there and witness it also go like, yeah, you're yelling too much. Just going, okay. All right. And then, of course, the YouTuber to go unfunny. So it just doesn't, whatever. It doesn't help. I don't think it helps, or at least it hasn't been helpful thus far. It just feels more like criticism without construction, which is, to me, not very valuable. especially when I don't really, I mean, it's, criticism takes no effort and really no forethought to extend. What is really challenging is if there actually is a critique that could be implemented, is presenting it in a manner to where there's a path forward instead of it just coming across almost like an insult. But that's what I got to work through, and try not to get in my head about that too much, although I am completely in my head about it a lot. Well, still got to do shows. I'm going to be heading out to San Diego, or Temecula rather, on Saturday, and pretty much doing all of that same material. And now, of course, I'm probably going to be in my head and be like, am I yelling? How do I do this without yelling? Because the yelling is really me just being emotionally wrapped up into what I'm talking about. And to me, the only purpose that art exists is emotional connection, and the only way to convey emotion that I've found is to feel an emotion, an actual emotion on yourself as the artist. And so intellectualizing kills art. Trying to think your way through art kills art. It's like trying to convince somebody to laugh at you instead of just conveying true emotion in a comedic way, which is what I thought I was doing. And I have slayed a lot of audiences recently, but then again, slaying doesn't actually necessarily mean that, audiences will laugh at anything, but it doesn't mean that there isn't always room to improve and room to adjust and find more effective ways to convey emotions. Because at the same time, it is really easy to push an audience away unintentionally. So I don't know. It's a lot. It's a lot to process. It has not felt good. And I'm working through that while still also just sort of struggling to write whatever is next. I have pages and pages of material that I'm not really going to call it material yet. Just pages and pages of stuff that I have been trying to get material from. I'll put it that way. So yeah, it's just kind of for this week, and some good news. Let's try to be positive here. Paul is in a couple weeks. Me and Josh with the Midlife Crisis Comedy Show have 3 comedy shows back to back, and we're trying to sell tickets to all 3. But we have a show on August 8th, again at JP's, which is our hometown club. It'll be our 4th show at that venue, and the ticket sales are already going very well for that venue, which is really exciting and very promising. We've got 2 shows down in Tucson, which unfortunately the ticket sales have been very minimal. However, our advertiser in New York has expressed a lot of confidence that this is very normal and that it's not uncommon for ticket sales to just crawl along, but then the week of, or even within a couple of days, then that's when everybody makes a purchase decision, which is consistent with a lot of research that I'd done previously when I tried to produce a show, which is comedy is actually more of a last-second, last-minute sort of impulse outing. And it's not really something that people are like, oh, we need to go to this comedy show 3 months in advance, unless, of course, it is a major, major celebrity. Because then obviously they have a fear of missing out. And it's like, oh, Jerry Seinfeld's going to be in our town. We better buy tickets now because we know they're going to sell out. almost any other comedy show, I just think people are very much aware that it's not going to sell out, so they just wait till last minute, because why risk putting their money up if they know they can buy a ticket last minute, which gives them more flexibility. So, and I'll tell you, that's been the truth in my life. I'll see a comedy show pop up on social media and be like, oh, I'd like to go to that. But it's like, I'm not going to buy a ticket now, because who knows? Who knows what'll happen in 2 weeks? So I'm not like super like sky is falling on those two Sean shows. I have a little bit of PTSD because I tried to sell tickets to this same venue a year ago and really lost my shirt on it. But I was hoping that with this new show and this new show concept that it would go better. And hard to say. We'll have to see if hopefully our advertiser is correct and that we just need to hang tight. People know it's a big venue. They know we're not a famous act. And so we're just not going to have a lot of luck trying to sell and move a tremendous amount of tickets this far out. But we will see how that pans out. So other than that, I am just really trying to work through this little funk here of discouragement and struggling to start to get some more material down on the page. But I keep trying, keep working at it, keep trying to write every single day. And, what else can I do other than just keeping at it? So with that, let's now turn to the next portion of the Paul Green Comedy Podcast, where I deconstruct one of the 48 Laws of Power, written by Robert Greene. Today's law was interesting. It was pretty much something like surrender if you know it's sort of inevitable that you're going to lose. Like, it's better to surrender than to fight and die if you know you're going to lose. Like, surrender when you are legitimately outmatched. And then, of course, it's like, and then once you surrender, then become friends with your enemy and then learn everything you can about them. And then when they start to trust you, then come back stronger and attack them for revenge. And now you know all of their secrets. So, of course, all of these principles, as I've been mentioning, seem to be pretty heavily steeped in warfare. Like, they're all sort of war tactics or principles on how to be successful at, committing mass genocide. So that's not really what I'm trying to do. I mean, I'm trying to kill with my comedy, but evidently I'm only killing eardrums with how loud I am. So yeah, I don't know. I usually have sort of a strong opinion. This law doesn't really. It makes sense to me. Obviously, the flip side of that is the whole fight till the death. There's actually a part in the chapter specifically where he talks about don't be a martyr, because he's just like, of every martyr that actually becomes immortal, or their principles or ideals become immortalized after their death. He's like, that almost never happens. Pretty much all you're going to do is just die for a cause, and then you're dead. So anything that happens after you die doesn't really matter anyway, because you're not alive to enjoy it, which makes a heck of a lot of sense. But he's like, if you don't martyr yourself and you surrender so that you don't get wiped off the face of the earth from your enemy, now you are alive, and now you can live to, plot your revenge in a later date. So I'm maybe going to adjust this principle. Instead of surrendering, let's look at it in the context of quitting something that maybe you really want, but that maybe is struggling, or maybe you've had some setbacks. I mean, heck, that's all I've been talking about on this podcast is setbacks. So, I think that there is, first of all, there is such a thing as quitting and just going, hey, this isn't right for me anymore. And I think that can be appropriate depending on, obviously, a myriad of circumstances. Even look at like relationships. Like, when is a relationship something to where it goes, all right, this relationship is struggling, but I need to double down and re-engage harder and go all in? Or when is it appropriate to go, you want to know what? This relationship has run its course. This is no longer an efficacious partnership. Somebody's not pulling their weight, or there's, like an abuse thing going on or something like that, to where it's going, no, in this case, it actually is better to just surrender or like retreat. Oh, by the way, the book said do not retreat, because retreating still means that you're at war, and that just means your enemy will have the power and resources to track you down and still kill you. So it was very much like I give up, go surrender, wave the white flag, subdue yourself to your enemies, and then, lull them into carnal security, so that you can destroy them later. So in terms of how I'm trying to make an analogy in terms of just sort of more regular day life stuff, as opposed to a modern warfare manipulation tactic, I think there is sometimes an appropriate time to just go, yeah, you want to know what? I've lost this battle. I surrender. I surrender. And regrouping. It's going, yeah, you want to know what? Can't win this one. Can't win this battle. Can't win this fight. Let's surrender and admit defeat, and then regroup and come back. So, this was something like I had been submitting to a fairly popular comedy club up in Utah that posts a lot of comedy and book a lot of comics. And I would email the guy and email the guy and email the guy, and I would just never hear back. And it just got to a point where I just said, all right, this guy obviously is not interested in me right now. So let's go retreat, or not retreat. Let's surrender and just say, okay, I lose this battle. What I need to do now is go back to the drawing board, rework my act, rework my set, get a good quality recording, and then now that I have surrendered and regrouped, gathered more information, now I can attack again, coming back even stronger. All right. I don't know if I like that comparison or not, but it is something that I just came up with to try to relate that principle to maybe something more everyday life and practical, since most of us are not at war, other than the war we are at with our own inner demons. So everybody, if you need to just surrender for the time being, it just ain't happening. You're overpowered. This isn't the time to be a martyr. Surrender, and then regroup, and then reattack when you are ready. Whatever that means to you. All right, my friends, that is the update for today, July 25th, 2024, episode 239 of the Paul Green Comedy PaulCast. I know I'm a little negative right now, but this is part of the journey, and that's why I do this. There is no journey that is all happy all the time, and if anybody tries to tell you that it is, they probably want to sell you something that's going to cost way more than the value you're going to get. So keep pushing forward, keep following your dreams. I hope they're going well. I hope you're having good experiences. I love you all so much. I appreciate you listening, and I will talk to you tomorrow.